Okay, this is Module 5, Lesson 5. Today we're going to be working on composition and decomposition. So composition is when you put things together, and decomposition is when you break things apart. So if you look at the opening exercise, it says here's an aerial view of a woodlot. So what it looks like, the shape of it from the top. So to start out with, we're going to fill in the information they give us. It says, if AB is 10 units, so I go over here and I find AB and I label that 10. Then the next thing it tells me, FE is 8 units. So I come over here and I find where FE is and I label that 8. The next thing it tells me, AF is 6 units. So I find where A to F is and I label it 6. And then next one is DE. So that's right here, and it tells me that that one is 7. Okay, so now I've labeled everything that they've given me. And then it asks me to identify how long DC is. And so when I go to figure out how long DC is, I look for the other lines that go the same direction. And so this one right here was horizontal, and this one was horizontal. So what I can see by looking at the picture is that this section of 8 plus this section right here that I don't know have to add up to 10. Because when I put this piece together with this piece, I have that total distance. So 8 plus what equals 10? And that is 2. The next thing it asked me for is how long is BC? So that's this distance over here. So that section right there, right here, I look for the other lines that go the same direction. And so that's these two pieces here. So I can see the one that I don't know is the one that is the total. So this section right here that is 6, plus this section right here that is 7, when I put those together, I get this distance right here. So 6 plus 7 is 13. And so that's how I'm able to use what's the measurements on the other sides in order to figure it out. So that's this problem right here. Now underneath it, it gives me another one. So in order to do that one, I have to erase the work that's already on there. Or for you guys, if you did the first one in pencil, maybe you could do the second one in pen or colored pencil, something like that. Okay. So probably making a bunch of squeaking noises for you. Okay, so now I'm ready to start the next one. So this one, it says DC is 10. So I come over here, I find DC, and DC is 10. Then it tells me that FE is 30. So FE is 30, so I go over here and I find FE, and I label that 30. Then it tells me that AF is 28 units. So AF is 28. And then it tells me that BC is 54. Okay, now you'll notice that when I did that, I did the horizontal stuff one color and the vertical stuff a different color. Sometimes that's helpful when I'm trying to figure out the missing measurements. So the first thing it asked me to find is AB. So here's AB. So I can tell that AB is the longer length, and is if I take this one and this one, right here and this piece down here, and I put them together, they will give me this total distance. Okay, so this plus this gives me all of this. So 30 plus 10 equals 40. Okay, and then for the other one, it asked me to find DE. I'm being asked to find this measurement right here. So this right here is the total of this plus this. So in order to get that measurement, I'm going to take 54 and I'm going to subtract 28. And when I do 54 minus 28, I get 26. Okay, so the first thing we were practicing was being able to find the measurements of missing sides. Alright, so now let me move this up so we can look at the bottom side of the page here. Alright, so in this you can see a figure. Alright, and we're going to be asked to find the area of this U-shaped figure. Alright, so as you go ahead and turn to the next page, we're going to talk about different ways that we can do this. It's also going to be, okay, up at the top of the page it talks about different strategies. So we have strategy A, B, and C. So we're going to draw each of those strategies in order to do it. So strategy A says on the first diagram, divide the stage. This is the pictures are of a stage at an intermediate school. So it says divide the stage into 3 rectangles using horizontal lines. Find the dimensions of these rectangles and then find the total area. So if I'm only using horizontal, horizontal is across. So I'm going to draw a horizontal line here and a horizontal line here. So now I have 3 rectangles. My first rectangle is right here. Okay. My second one is right here. And then my third one is down here. So I have to first identify the correct dimensions for each of them and then find the area of them. So this one right here, I know that one measurement is 2. I need to know this one. It's not labeled, but I can look over here and I can see that it's going to be 4. So this is also 4 meters. So that particular rectangle is 2 times 4, which is 8 meters squared. Now the other one is identical to it, so it is 8 meters squared. Now the one down at the bottom, this distance right here is 7, but I need to know what this distance is. Now don't think it's the 9, because the 9 is the measurement from all the way at the top to all the way at the bottom. And this rectangle at the bottom doesn't include all 9 meters. So if I know that from here to here is 4, 9 minus 4 is 5. So that means the height of this rectangle at the bottom is 5. 7 times 5 is 35. So now I add my 3 sections together. I can do that on my calculator. 8 plus 8 plus 35 equals 51 meters squared. Okay, now I go to the second one. The second one on B, it says on the second diagram, divide the stage into 3 rectangles using 2 vertical lines. So vertical is up and down. So I draw here and here. So now I've got 3 rectangles again, and I have to figure out what my dimensions are for each of them. So for my first one on here, 2 by 9, they're already labeled. So 2 times 9 is 18. And then on the other side, I know that those are identical, so I know this is 18. Now, the one in the middle, I have to figure out what its measurements are. Okay? So again, I have to first figure out how tall is it. Well, if the total distance from the very top to the very bottom is 9, and the section above it is 4, I know that this section, that line is 5. Now, my distance across here, if I use what's at the top, I know that this section is 2, and this section is also 2, and so I have to take those both away from the 7, because the 7 is all the way across the bottom. So 7 minus 2 gives me 3. So the distance across the bottom of this rectangle is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. So for my total area here, I add 18 plus 15 plus 18, and that equals 51 meters squared. Now we move on to the third one. Our directions for the third one is to use one horizontal line and one vertical line. So one horizontal line would look something like this, and one vertical line would look something like this. Now you could have done the flip-flop and put the shorter line on the left and the vertical line on the right. That would work as well. Okay, so now my first rectangle, 2 by 9. So 2 times 9 is 18. Then I look at the one up here on the top. I know that's 2 by 4, which is 8. Now the other one I have to figure out my dimensions for. So this distance across here, remember 7's all the way across the bottom. This section right here is 2, so that means this part here is 5. So 2 plus 5 is 7. I got the 2 from up here because it's on a rectangle, opposite sides will have the same measurement. Now for this height right here, we've done this a couple times already. We've taken the 9, subtracted the 4, and that is 5. So 5 times 5 is 25. So to find my total area here, 18 plus 25 plus 8. Okay? And guess what? It's going to give us the same answer, 51 meters squared. Okay, go on to the next page. We're going to look at one more way someone could solve this. Okay, on this one, what they've done is they have, let me shade this section in, is we draw a line across the top to connect it and make it one big rectangle. And then we cut a piece out. So we cut out the piece that I just shaded in green. So if I draw the line across here, connecting it, and I now have one big rectangle, that big rectangle is 9 by 7. And 9 times 7 is 63. Now we have the smaller rectangle that somebody cut out of it. And so that one is 4 by 3, because 2 plus 3 plus 2 equals the 7 that we get from the other side. So 4 times 3 is 12. So this one, big rectangle, hole cut out of it, that's the 12. So 63, sorry, allergies, minus 12. And so when I do that, I get 51 meters squared. So you've seen 3 different ways somebody could go about solving it. Now I will tell you my personal favorite is the last way that we did it, but you can choose any of those strategies, whichever one makes the most sense for you. All right, down at the bottom of the page, we have a parallelogram. Now they ask you to decompose, but we are not going to do that. We're just going to review how do we find the area of a parallelogram. And we do that by finding the base times the height. So area equals the base times the height. So look at the figure, identify what is your base and what is your height. I gave it to you here, but you can also recognize it in your picture here and here. So the area equals 6 times 4, which is 24 meters squared. Okay? The directions below are for decomposing it. They suggest breaking it into 2 smaller triangles, finding those areas and adding them together. But in reality, it's a parallelogram, and the easiest way to do it is your base times your height. Go ahead and go to the next page. Okay, on this page, we're finding the area of a trapezoid. Now, a trapezoid, remember, only has one set of parallel lines, not 2. They talk about decomposing here, but honestly, that's not the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to give you the formula, and the formula for area of a trapezoid is 1/2 times the sum of the bases. Your bases are parallel to each other. Times your height. Okay? So the first thing we do when we look at the picture is we find our 2 bases. And remember, base doesn't mean bottom, so they could be going different directions. You're just looking for the 2 lines that are parallel. So when I look at that picture, those 2 lines are parallel. So then when I set it up in my formula, area equals 1/2 times, and then in parentheses I put the 2 numbers I need to add, 4 plus 8. And then I'm multiplying that times the height. Remember, height has to form that right angle. So there's my right angle. So here is my height. So my height is 5, so times 5. Okay, now we're going to solve what's in parentheses first. Okay, but if you want, you can plug it straight into your calculator. 1/2 times, put your parenthesis button in, 4 plus 8 parenthesis times 5. But a lot of people like to go ahead and do the addition first and then plug it in. So either way is fine. So 1/2 times 12 times 5. So you plug that in and your area equals 30 meters squared. Make sure you write that formula down so you have it for reference later. So that is the area of trapezoids. Okay, you can go ahead and try your problem set now.